Okay, there it is. So, Yektayua, Wan Yegan Walahti with Muchi. Welcome to this first workshop. We are very glad that you decided to join us to learn more about the culture of our ancestors. For those of you who do not know me, I am Alicia Marroquin. I am a Tapatani, that is an interpreter here at Nate and Safora School. I have also been a substitute teacher for a couple of classes. I also studied in the school to learn Nawat, and along with Valerie, we will be in charge of leading the workshops in English. So I will be with you on Wednesdays and every other Friday. So now I know that we have some students that we already know, but I see also we have new students. So for those of you who are new in our school, I would like you to introduce yourself. So I would like you to tell me your name, and in 1 or 2 words, why did you decide to join our workshops? So who wants to go first?
Naha Nutegay Lily, Juan Nuzutegay Hernandez. I joined because I wanted to know more about my ancestors and to just immerse myself into the Nawa community.
Okay, thank you, Lily. Welcome. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Hola.
Yektiota Grahaninemiek. I'm Gabriela. I joined because I'm currently on hiatus from the language course for other reasons, but I want to stay connected to the community.
That's awesome. Thank you. You're welcome. So anyone else?
Me. Nahano Tugay Andrea, Wanosun Tugay Osorio, and I joined this because I want to know more about the culture, and I know that these workshops are actually more culture than the language itself. That's why. Mhm.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Gabe.
Hola.
You can continue.
Hola, mi nombre
Yeah.
es Gabriela. My name is Gabriela too, and I am tuning in from Australia. So, soy salvadoreña, but I've been here since I was 10 years old, and my heart really longs to connect more deeply with my culture, and I practice Spanish regularly. I practice our cooking. Whatever I can find to stay connected and grounded. And when this course came up, it was just such a beautiful opportunity to go even deeper into our ancestral wisdom and the language. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
My name is Gabriel, and I'm on here with Andrea Osorio. She recommended this class, and just want to learn more about El Salvador culture, and I'm here for that. Thank you.
Okay, we're glad you are here. Is there anyone else, or should we continue?
My name is Koa, and I joined this class because I want to learn more about the Nawat culture because my dad is from El Salvador.
Okay, thank you for being here. So, thank you everyone for introducing, and thank you so much for telling me why you guys decided to join. Our elders have this saying, and to me it is like a call to action. They say, timumachtigan Nawat paltemigi. That is, let's learn Nawat so it doesn't die. And so thank you all for listening to the voice of our elders and being here learning more about Nawat and the culture. So here's our agenda for the week and for today. For the week, we have 2 workshops, and our topic today is the Nahuatl language, history and context. And tomorrow you will join Valerie to learn about Nahuatlisms. And today, oh, by the way, on Friday, we also have another class at tutoring sessions, and we're going to meet 2 of our elders, Nancy Sixta Perez and Taxin Renato Alfonso. And today, this class has 3 parts. And just as a disclaimer, I am not a historian, I'm not an archaeologist, so I might not have all of the answers, but if I don't, we will find out together. Or we can also ask the elders on Friday. Something else that I want to say is that if throughout the workshop you have any questions or any comments, you can open your microphones and let us know. I will just only ask you to be as brief as possible. So we're going to start with a question. For those of you who have already been in our classes, you already know the answer to the question. So I will ask you to please allow the new students to answer the question. So, are we pupils? What do you think? Any volunteer? What do you think? Have you ever heard people calling us that way? Pipiles, pipil?
I already took the class, so I don't want to say it.
Okay, thank you. So anyone else? So for new students, don't be afraid. We can make mistakes here.
I like her. She's sweet.
Yo creo que sí. I think that we are. Pipil is a part of us.
Mhm.
Is one of the Maya, isn't it part of the Maya civilization, Pipil?
Okay, we will see that in a minute. Anyone else wants to answer this question? Are we pipiles? No? Okay, so before moving on to the answer that was given by our elders, I like to talk to you about the right to self-determination for indigenous people. This is the right to freely determine their political status and to freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. And as you know, names and how we call our people is a political act too. The United Nations, in the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, recognizes in Article 3 the right of self-determination that Indigenous people have. In Article 8, it says that Indigenous people have the right to not be subjected to forced assimilation or destruction of the culture. And when it comes to local law, well, we are behind. However, in La Ley de la Cultura, in its Article 27, it recognizes the rights of indigenous people, and in Article 28, it declares the nation will create policies for the recognition and visibilization of indigenous people. So, at least in paper, international and local law call us to respect the rights of indigenous peoples, amongst which we have the right to self-determination. Now we're going to listen to four of our elders, and they will tell us about this question. First, we're going to listen to Nancy Sixta Perez. She is the eldest of the Nawat speakers in Santo Domingo de Guzman. Nancy Sixta is bilingual in Spanish and in Nawat. So I have transcribed pieces of what she says in the audio.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Sixta Pérez. Les quiero decir que nosotros somos del pueblo indígena de Santo Domingo de Guzmán, Techanhuizapan, y entonces en mi comunidad vienen personas de otro lugar y nos dicen que somos pipil, pero nosotros no somos pipil, nosotros ya somos señoras, somos ya grandes, ya no somos niños. Los pipil son niños. Entonces nosotros nos dicen Nancy en náhuatl y hombres, Tajtzin, también el hombre le dicen Tagat en náhuatl, el hombre. Y nosotras mujeres, señoras, nos dicen Nancy o nos dicen Siwat también. Pero no somos pipil, ese es un apodo y nosotros no entendemos por qué dicen que somos pipil. No somos pipiles, nosotros somos de un pueblo indígena de Santo Domingo de Guzmán.
Okay, so now we're going to listen to Nancy Anastasia Lopez.
Héctor Yektiutak. Yo siempre he dicho que yo no soy pipil, yo soy natural, ¿verdad? Nahuablante natural. Yo no soy pipil porque yo no soy niña, ni bichita, cipotillo. Aquí vinieron los mexicanos y dijeron, no, ellos no hablan bien el náhuatl. Hablado de niños, ellos son pipiles, dijo, ¿verdad? Entonces, yo no tomo eso de bien porque la ley lo acepta. Yo no lo acepto porque mi papá siempre decía, tejeme tipas palame, ti naturales, decía él. Nunca dijo que somos pipiles, Héctor.
Okay, so something to note, besides the fact that so far, two of our elders reject being called pipiles, is that Nancy Anastasia says she's natural, so like natural. I personally find this interesting because I have seen that in many languages in which their endonyms, that is the way they call themselves, it usually just means person or the people. So one example of such a language is the Diné language, that is of the Navajo people. So we're going to continue listening to Nancy Úrsula García.
Entonces, los pipiles, yo soy hablante náhuatl. Nosotros, las señoras, ancianos que hablamos el idioma náhuatl, somos hablantes náhuatl. Porque somos señores y señoras. Por eso entramos hablantes náhuatl. No voy a aceptar que nosotros hablantes náhuatl nos confundan con el que dicen pipil. Nosotros no somos pipil, nosotros somos hablantes náhuatl. Y así tienen que saber sus alumnos, don Héctor. Entonces, eso es lo que...
So, note how Nancy Úrsula emphasizes that we, as learners of the language and culture, must know that we are not pipiles. Now we're going to listen to Taxing Nicolás.
Pues pipil viene de cipote. El cipote no es como que se diga seguro lo que hace, porque a veces hace locuras, a veces hace bien. Y entonces ahí como que se confunden, como que somos algo dundos o algo, no sabemos lo que hacemos, ¿verdad? Y eso es lo que ellos significa cuando se dice, hablan puros pipiles. Pero como pipiles o como indígenas, nosotros siempre seguimos siendo nahuablantes. Pero, como les digo, pues cipotes o no cipotes, nosotros somos nahuablantes y qué, pues, ¿verdad? Ahora que alguien se sienta malo porque y en nahuablante, pues es mala suerte, pero yo no, personal yo no me siento malo, por eso me siento con honor y con satisfacción ser un nahuablante.
So note that Taksin says that being called pipil or pipil is actually offensive. Sometimes exonyms, that is the names put on a group of people from the outside, are offensive, particularly those that are put on colonized people. This is what happened to the Nawa people, and our elders are asking us not to use it anymore. Now here we have more proof. Sometimes you see that Nansing and Taksin said that pipil means child, and in the plural form pipil, children, right? And the elders make emphasis that they are grown men and women. Nancy Sixta said you can call them Siwat, woman, Tagat for a man, and they can also be Nansing or Taxing. Those two are honorific terms, and we call them so because they are very important in the community. Now, you might have found online a theory that says that pipiles means from the nobility. So I guess the apologists say pipiles just means that we are princesses and princes. But let's start with the words themselves. You see that a prince or a boy from the nobility is pilsing. It is not the same as pipil, right? They are different words. And here we have more proof. Let's go back all the way to the Spanish invasion to the territories of Aviala, now the American continent. The Spaniards had allies, the Tlaxcalans. By the way, do you remember that Nancy Anastasia said it was the Mexicans that first used the word pipiles? Well, she was talking about the Tlaxcalans. Their language was Nahuatl with the TL at the end. So, as the Tlaxcalans and the Spaniards moved south and they were conquering the territories, they found the Nahua people. And the Tlaxcalans realized that they had a very similar language, but with enough differences for them to think that the Nahua people spoke a lesser form of Nahuatl. The images on your screen are from the book Teoamachtli. Sorry if I mispronounced that word. So this was a book that was used to convert the indigenous people to Christianity. As you can see on the highlighted fragment, it clearly says, by pipil, they meant children. And they called Nawat the language of children because to them it wasn't how they thought it was supposed to be. And this was because they spoke in Nahuatl and our people spoke in Nahuatl. So Nahuatl and Nahuatl are not the same languages. In Spanish, you can see there you spell Nawat with the H, and both in English and in Nahuatl, we write it with the W and the T at the end. So, again, Nahuatl and Nahuatl are not the same language. They are part of the same family of languages, just as how German and English are both part of the same family of languages, or the same way as Spanish and Portuguese belong to the same family of languages, but they are not the same. So our people are called Nawa, and our language is Nawat. Now here we have a chart where we can see where our language comes from. The origin was called Proto-Yuto-Nawa, and you can follow the chart all the way down, and you see that in one branch there is the Nahuatl with the TL, and on another branch there is the Nahuatl language. In the chart, because it comes from an academic document, it is classified as pipil. And you will find that the scholars tend to call it pipil, and they publish papers and books calling it pipil. So the exonym that the Tlaxcalans use. But let's remember the right of self-determination that the indigenous people have. Also, let's remember the voices of the elders rejecting to be called pipiles and asking us not to call them so. Now, let's see, where do the Nahua people come from? By the way, if you have any comments or questions, you can tell us about them. Okay, so let's see the origin. This is like a summary chart. We're going to see in a moment that the Nahuas came in 3 large migrations. It is said that they live from the south of what is now the United States all the way down to Nicaragua. We'll see the routes they took and when and why these migrations happened. Let's start with the first migrations. These are the first travels, like the first ventures. It happened circa the year 400 and 600 of the Common Era. The first migration happened due to demographic expansion and because they were looking for commercial expansion. How do we know it took place? Because there have been found ceramics and architecture with influences from the Teotihuacan region in all of these territories. In El Salvador, they settle mainly in the valley of Chalchuapa, the upper part of the basin of the Acelguate River, the Sonsonate Valley, the central region of the country, Metapán, Huija Lake, the coastal plain nearby Acajutla, and the Bálsamo mountain range. They brought the influence of the Toltec or Cholula culture. This influence could be found mainly at the west and central regions of El Salvador, all the way to Lomachina in Usulután. The main sites were Cihuatán, Las Marías, Chalchuapa, and Igualtepeque. The estimated route they took was from Teotihuacan to Valley of Puebla in Tlaxcala to River Papaloapan in Veracruz. From there, some groups migrated to the Isthmus of Tehuantepec in Oaxaca. They continued through the Pacific coast of Chiapas. Then they moved through the southeast of Guatemala, particularly through Retaluleu, Suchitepeques, and Escuintla, where there's been found Teotihuacan influences. And finally, they migrated to Chalchuapa, that's on the west of El Salvador, where there have been found traces of ceramics and settlements like those from the Mexican highlands. We have some evidences here. In Chalchuapa, there has been found ceramics again, in the Teotihuacan and in the primitive Mixteca Puebla styles. There's also some architectural influences. They used to build in this style called slope and panel style. And there has also been found the use of obsidian that originated from central Mexico. The key sites were Teotihuacan, Izapa, Retaluleu, and Chalchuapa. Now we move on to the second migration. It happened between the years 700 and 900 of the Common Era. Among the causes, we find political transformations, this mainly after the fall of Tolan or Tula in Spanish and Cholula. There were also socio-political restructurings happening in the Mesoamerican region. With this migration, there's more of a presence of the Nawat people in the Pacific region. During this time, the Nahuas coexisted with the Mayan and the Lenca people. What did their route look like? So they left from Tolan or Tula in Cholula to the south, going through the Tehuantepec Isthmus, then to the Pacific coast of in Chiapas, moving on the border of Tapachula, Escuintla in Guatemala. They settled temporarily in Caminaljuyu in Guatemala, and the region of the Boca Costa, where there's a cultural amalgamation with the Maya people. Then they arrived to the west of El Salvador, founding or influencing places like Cihuatán, Loma China, Santa Leticia, and Cara Sucia. In the evidences, we see in Cihuatán there have been found infrastructures in the Toltec style, imported ceramic figurines, and Mexican obsidian. There is a rise in Nahua population with presence to the north and west in the country, and the key sites for these migrations are Tola, Cholula, Tehuantepec, Escuintla, Caminaljuyu, Cihuatán, and Loma China. And so now we have arrived to the third and last migration. This one happened between the years 900 and 1200 of the Common Era. So this is in the late post-classic period. Why did it happen? Because of drought, political conflicts, and the search for new lands. During this migration, the Nahua people become the main group, the dominant group. And so the Nahua people consolidate the rule in El Salvador, founding the dominion of Guzgatan. So what now is El Salvador used to be a very important territory. It was sort of like a kingdom. The image that you see on your screen, it is an ideogram, and that is the way that the Nahua people documented their ideas. At the top there, at the top you see this part means gusgat, so a necklace, and here at the bottom you see tan, that in this case means land, so the land of necklaces. And it was called that because as they were founding settlements, the towns or settlements were like beads in a necklace. So the estimated route for this last migration, they again moved from the highlands of Tolan or the Zempoala region in Veracruz through the Tehuantepec Isthmus, following the coast of the Pacific in Chiapas and Guatemala, going through Peques, Escuintla, and Mazatenango. From there, they moved to the east of Guatemala, arriving to Aguachapan and Sonsonate in El Salvador. Some groups move on to the central region in Cuscatlán, and others continued to the west to Usulután. Some of them even made it to Nicaragua, where they are called Nicaraos. So the evidence. We have still the Nahuatl language that we speak to this day. We see it on the names of places that are and still have names in Nahuatl. For example, Suchitepeques, the Hill of Flowers, Mazatenango, the Land of Tears, Nicaragua. That comes from Nigan Anahuac, meaning up to here the Anahuac people. Anahuac is another name the Nahuatl people had. We also have some archaeological sites with Toltec characteristics in Cihuatán, San Andrés, Chalchuapa, and Quelepa. And there are documents that mention leaders and people from Nanonualco, Izalco, and Cuscatlán as descendants of these migrations. Here we have a graphic representation of the migrations that happened. You can see them living from Teotihuacan to Mesoamerica. Now, remember I mentioned they were also called Anahuac? What do you see in common of most of the places they settled in? Do you see anything that the places had in common?
They're near the coast.
Yes, indeed. So first, they were in this region and they were moving to this region. First in the Atlantic and then in the Pacific region. And that is why they are called Anahuac. That means close to the water. From at, water, and Nahuac, close to. So close to the water because they liked to settle near places that had water. Now we have here another map where we can see them moving in Central America, right? And the territories that belong to them. So they settled in Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And as I mentioned before, over there they were called Nicaraos. Now, here's the list of references if you want to check them out. Some of them, like the Pipi language of El Salvador, you can find in our website, allnawat.com, and you can download it there for free. Now, we're going to talk about the Nahuatl people of El Salvador. So we're going to be a little bit more specific about our people. So, have you ever heard of La Leyenda Negra or the Spanish Black Legend? This is said by some Spanish people and some Latin American people as well. This is the idea that there is a tendency to exaggerate and to have a negative vision of the Spanish conquest. It is said that these exaggerations carry anti-Spanish and anti-Catholic sentiments. Well, the image you see on your screen is from the Glasgow manuscript, In 1524, which is a copy of the Tlaxcala canvas, it was done by Diego Muñoz Camargo, a Tlaxcalan historian, son of a Spanish conquistador and an indigenous woman. And in the manuscript, you can see pictures that document how the invasion happened. And on the image, you can see the name of the place, Gusgatan, the ideogram at the top. And you can also see the Spanish here on horseback. The Tlaxcala people behind them with swords, and the people of Gusgatan on their knees. There are other images that we usually show you during the regular classes in level 1, where you can see people being hung, documents being burned, a lot of scenes of violence. So then you can answer to yourselves, is it really an exaggeration to say that the conquest was a very violent thing that happened in Aviala? Now we have a map of the different groups that coexisted in what is now El Salvador. There was the Payaqui Kingdom, the Dominion of Buscatan, and the Lenca Principality. And here we have another map with the current territories. The light yellow region is where the Nawat people lived. Nowadays, the Nawat people are mainly in Sonsonate and Ahuachapán. Santo Domingo de Guzman is the town with the most Nawat speakers. And yet, it is pretty sad to know that we have very, very few Nawat speakers. In Santo Domingo de Guzman, we have 43, just 43 Nawat speakers. In Cuisnahuat, 2, and in Tacuba, only 1. Although, let me tell you that one of our students that lives nearby told us that Tahsin Chelino, the last Nahuatl speaker of Tacuba, passed away last year. So we have one less Nahuatl speaker. So this is why we are trying our best to document and learn as much as we can of the language and the culture and the wisdom of the elders, so that, as they say, we can keep their words in our minds forever. And now I think that all of you who are here learning about the culture and the history of the Nahuatl people are also part of that effort to preserve the Nahuatl language. Now, we move on to our next topic. But I would like to know if any of you have any comments, any questions, anything that you would like to tell the class. I am seeing some of the messages in the chat box. And I think Sarai said about being called pipiles, that it was a word Mexicas used to make fun of us. And yeah, as you see, to call our people pipiles is actually offensive, and our elders do not like it. Now, someone else says, I thought Kelepa was a Lenca site. Let's remember that the names of places are repeated all through Mesoamerica. So we have similar names. We have, for example, San Marcos here in El Salvador, San Marcos over there in Guatemala. We also have, I believe, what's the name? Well, there are other names that repeat in different regions of uh, the of Mesoamerica, and they are the same. And in this case, we mean the site of that the Nawat people went to when they migrated. So we're going to continue then to the dialectical variations. These are the regional variants of a language. Every language has their own dialectical variations. In Spanish, for example, we have a different way of speaking Spanish here in El Salvador, and it's different from the Spanish spoken in Spain, and that one is also different from the Spanish spoken in Argentina, for example. It is the same language, right? It is the same Spanish, but it has its specific varieties. And the same thing happens with English as well. So let's compare some words and phrases in British English and the English from the United States. So I have here a list of phrases used in the UK, and I want you guys to help me say the same thing but in the English spoken in the United States. So how do you say I'm knackered in American English? How would you say it?
You could say I'm tired, or maybe I'm beat.
Yeah, right. Thank you. How would you say my flat in American English?
My apartment.
Apartment.
Right. If they say take the lift to the third floor, how would you say that in American English?
We'd
Take
say
the elevator to the third floor.
yeah, elevator.
Yeah, that's the difference. Now, if you hear this is rubbish, how would you say that in American English?
This is garbage.
Yeah, garbage or trash, right?
Trash.
Now, for the pavement, how do you say that in American English?
Sidewalk.
Yeah, thank you. Now, there is also variation in the spelling of words, right? For example, the spelling of civilization is different, right? And also the variation can happen in the pronunciation of words. And the last one tends to sound different in British English and in American English. In our school at Nation Safora, we teach the Santo Domingo de Guzman variant. There are other variants, and in the same way that you wouldn't mix the British or the Australian variant with the US English variant, we do not mix words from other variants. Damashtiani Hector always recommends that if we want to learn more than one variant, we learn one and then another and then the other, and to be careful not to mix them because we might get in trouble if we start mixing them. Now, there is this book written by Eugenio Valencia. The book is called Nigmatium Metaltikpak. There he classified the different Nahuatl variants. You can see there that we have the variants from Ataco and Tacuba. We have one in Santo Domingo de Guzman. By the way, Santo Domingo de Guzman, we also call it Huitzapan. Huitzapan is the name in the Nahuatl language. So continue with the variants. You see that there is two variants in Cuiznahuat. So in one town, you find two variants. There is also the Izalco variant spoken in the Izalco region, and the other variant of Cuiznahuat is spoken in the Balsamo Mountain Range region. Now we're going to listen to Nancy Sixta, and she will tell us a little about the differences between the Nahuizalco and Huitzapan variant. She has learned, she is a Nahuatl speaker from Santo Domingo de Guzman, so she speaks that variant. But when she was younger and when she was a child, she and her mother used to go to Nahuizalco, to the market, to buy and sell the products that they made. So in the audios, you will listen to her, even changing not only the pronunciation, but also the accent.
Kaski pati uni shukut. Nagitiay.
So in that audio, so can you guys hear me? I just got a message here that my internet might be unstable.
The audio cut out for a little bit.
Okay, I'll play it again.
Bayush.
Kaski pati uni shukut. Nagitiay. Yay peso. Huwag pati. Tesuno gusto.
Okay, so that's it for our first audio. In it, I want to highlight this sentence. We hear Geski y patio ini shuguk. How much is this fruit? It's a jocote in Spanish. So you hear that in the Huitzapan variant, only the last K, this one, sounds like a hard K. And the others sound like a G. So Geski y patio ini shuguk. Only the last one is a hard K. However, in the Nahuizalco variant, all of them sound like a hard K. So it's like Keski y patio ini shuguk. It sounds different. Now, we're going to listen to another example.
Gaskantik na maka unit saput. Gaski tiknegi. Gaski paya un chigiwit. Ombrong paya miyak. Ini sa chigiwit kipia. Yay. Pero Kashkitikneki. Namaya sechiki with nikneki. Teniku waitumin. Wangway pati. Pero no nikneki. Naha nikneki. Dicen las señoras de Navidad. Naha nikneki. Uni más. Tumak. Panik namaka nemanga. Sechiki with chiquitik chichi. Uwe. Giguat.
So for this example, I have written one of the sentences that she uses. Keski tiknegi in the Witsapan variant. And in the Nahuizalco variant, you heard that she said keski tikneki. So the K's have the hard K sound. And she also said at the end, the ladies in Nahuizalco, she said, say naha nikneki. And in Witsapan, we would say naha niknegi. So the K sound is different. Now let's listen to our last example.
Nosotros decimos Geski y patiu ne chiwit. Viene otra persona de Nahuizalco y habla diferente porque las palabras son otras. Te pregunta y dice, Geski patiu ne chiwit.
So I have this sentence here, Geski patio ne chigiwit. So again, the K sound is different in Witsapan. This one, for example, sounds like a G because it is between two vowels. However, in Nahuizalco, all of them sound like a hard K. So it would be chiquiwit. This is to say basket. So we see there's a difference not only in the pronunciation, but also in the accent that they have. Now we have some other examples. And these ones are documented in the book called the Itzalcos. In the book called El Pipil de la Región de los Itzalcos by Próspero Arauz. So this is another variant, the Itzalco variant. And you see there that to say you do, Itzalcos would say tikcha. And we say tikchiwa. To say, what are you doing? They say, tai ankichiwat te ankichat ang mehemet. And in Witsapan, they say tayangichiwit and mehemet. Again, the K sound is pretty different. Now, to say today, they would say action, and we say in Witsapan, an. For very, or to say a lot, they say in the Itzalco region, saya. And in Witsapan, we say suhsul. Now, to say girl, do you want to go? They say sapil, techniketiyaw. And we would say siwapil, tiknegitiyaw. So it's similar, but there are some differences between the variants. So here we have some other comparisons from words. You can see that to say no, they say inte, and we say tesu. To say what are you doing again, te ankichat, tai angichiwat. Inte, again, to say tesu. Inte to say no in the Itzalco region and tesu in the Huitzapan region. Something interesting here is that in Huitzapan, if you're going to talk about the family members, you always have to use a possessive. So the possessive in this case is nu, my. So my father, nutegu, wan nunan, my mother. And in this variant from the Itzalco region, it seems that they do not need to use that possessive. They can just say mother and father. So teku and na. Also here, there's another difference for whirlwind. They have a specific word, and in Huitzapan, we have to describe it. Here we have some other examples from another variant. This one is documented in the book Muhmusta by Werner Hernandez. And it doesn't really say which variant it is from. However, we can see the differences between the Huitzapan variant and the variant in Muhmusta. So to say to smile in Huitzapan, we say pagi and they say wetska. To say girl, they say siwapilsing. In the Huitzapan variant, siwapilsing with the stress on pil means the daughter of a man. And if you put the stress in the last syllable, so siwapilsing, then you are talking about a lesbian. So you see, this is why it is important not to go mixing variants and to learn one of them the best that you can so you do not confuse the words and the variants and the meaning. Now, we have a chart here, and we want to illustrate why it is important to remember to not mix variants. Here we are comparing three of them. So the Nawat from the Itzalco region, the Nawat from Santo Domingo de Guzman or Huitzapan, and the one from Cuisnahuat. At the top here, right now, you see the books these examples come from. By the way, in the middle column, the Yultahtagetzalis dictionary, written by Nancy Sixta Perez, is on our website, allnawat.com, and you can go there and you can download that one for free. So now, moving on, we have three examples. To say bird, in Izalco, you use the word wilut. So that is bird in Nahuatl from Izalco. To say bird in Huitzapan, you use the word tutut. So tutut, bird in the variant from Huitzapan. And now we have the one from Cuisnahuat. So you also say wilut. The spelling is different, but they sound the same, so wilut. Now, if you go mixing variants and you say wilut in Huitzapan, then you are using a slang word to refer to male genitalia. So again, if you mix variants and you use tutut, wanting to say bird in the Huitzapan variant, but you are in Cuisnahuat, then you're actually talking about a penis. So we want you to remember to be careful with the words and the variants. So be careful to not confuse Nahuatl from Mexico with Nawat from El Salvador. And within El Salvador, let's not mix variants, because imagine you're talking about tutut in Cuisnahuat, or you are using Wilut in Santo Domingo de Guzman, you probably won't be saying what you think you are saying. And one last example. We have our greeting. To say good morning in Nahuizalco, in Tacuba, and in Cuisnahuat, you say Yek Tunal. But if you say Yek Tunal in Huitzapan, you are literally saying good sun. And people is probably going to understand that you are saying that the sun is shining bright or that it is hot. In Huitzapan, to say good morning, you say Yek Peida. Now, I have spoken a lot in this workshop, so now it is your turn. We want to listen to your opinions, to your comments, and I would like you to answer one, two, or all of the questions that you see on your screen now. So who wants to go first?
I just wanted to say I've had a lot of this information before, but thank you so much for presenting it. I learned so much from Tishma when we do the classes both in Spanish and English, but I feel like I learned more hearing it only in English, which is sad because I want to get better at my Spanish. So I just wanted to say thank you first. Especially with the migration history, I've somehow missed the connection of it being 3 waves. So that was like, I kind of remembered it, but I really got it this time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comment and your opinion. And trust me, I get the confusion or the fact that your brain goes to different places when you are listening to Nahuatl, to English, to Spanish in the same class. So I understand what you mean. Anyone else?
I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Charles. I've heard some of this information before, but I think that you guys have done a really great job of packaging this up into a really cohesive way for English learners to understand this. And I think it's really important that we push for reclassifying Nawas and really dropping the term pupils, because I'm going to school right now, and academically, you know, when I do a lot of research, we still see the term pupils, unfortunately. And I would really like to make progress on making sure that that is in the future not something that we see, you know, that we are finally respected and seen as Nawas that we are. And again, as Charles said, I really respect what this program is doing and everything that you, Alicia, and the Tatsins and Nansins have done, because I've learned so much from this program just in the past year that I've been a part of it. And again, I love this program so much. So thank you so much.
You are so very welcome, and I am so very glad that you are involved in academia right now and that you do research, because you can be the voice of our people in your area of expertise and tell everyone we are not pipiles, we are the Nawa people, we are Nawas, and our language is Nawat. So anyone else?
Will this presentation be available on YouTube later?
Yes, it will be available. We are going to upload this week workshops on Saturday. So starting Saturday, you can watch them again.
I'm asking because this information is good, and I know that at the Denver Art Museum they have a really wonderful floor about Mesoamerican art. But the first thing you see when you walk in is all the different people groups from the Americas, and right where El Salvador is a giant pipiles, and I want to talk to them to change it and say, as my culture and as I've been learning it through these classes, since it's vinyl, I know they can take it off, but I want to see if I can convince them to change it. So we'll see. I don't know. But I feel like with the information backing me up and it's not just my opinion, I might be able to convince them. So that's my goal, but we'll see.
Thank you, Charles. I really love that. I really love that you guys want to spread the voice, spread the fact that we are not pipiles, that we are Nawat. So thank you for that. Thank you for wanting to make the difference for our people. So anyone else? Anything new that you have learned today? We have a comment here in the chat box. It says there are a few people in Comalcalco who speak Tabasco Nahuatl. It is similar to Nahuatl from El Salvador. Yeah, there are other places where people speak Nahuatl. Not Nahuatl, Nahuatl. In Guatemala, there are other places where people speak Nahuatl. And Tamachani Hector was telling us the other day about this language that it is believed to be extinct. It is was spoken in Guatemala, and Tamasheni was saying that he had the opportunity to read some documents, and he realized that it was practically the same as we speak, as we write in Nawa. So probably Alawilac was another variant of Nahuatl that unfortunately nowadays it is extinct. But yeah, there are other places where you can find Nahuatl. Now, once again, remember that in our school we are learning, we are teaching, we are using the Witsapan variant. So anyone else with a comment, or if you want to answer any of these questions? Okay. Well, so if there are no more questions, no more comments, that will be it for this class. I thank you all for being here, and we will see you tomorrow for our second workshop. It is going to be about Nahuatlisms, so it's going to be very interesting. Tomorrow you will be with Valerie. I think she's over here with us tonight. So we hope to see you tomorrow. And so let me see if there are more comments. Okay, so that's it. Yektayua, Nyawa,
Yawa.
Nyawa.
Shawa.